Good morning, everybody. Welcome back. Today's topic is image receptor and accessories. We are going to talk about the receptors on which the radiographic image is formed, and the accessories means the other devices or equipments which help in obtaining these images. So, basically, the simplest image receptor in your daily to day life can be a mirror which receives your image. Your digital camera, the screen has image receptor. The earlier cameras which had analog camera, or the normal cameras which you would have seen when you were kids or your parents or grandparents used to have a negative film. You remember a small cellulose packet of polythene long strip used to be there. That was a image receptor. Similarly, all of you have seen X-ray films. It's very commonly seen. Most of you, almost everybody would have seen a dental X-ray film, or at least a general X-ray film, not in real life, then in images, in pictures, in movies, everywhere. So those films on which the image of the tooth or any body part is formed after the X-rays pass through it is called as a image receptors. Image receptors are basically the first image receptor. When the Roentgen saw the X-rays image cast was a fluorescent film. Then gradually the things changed and it came to modern day. So let's look into the history. The image receptors, initially the glass plates were used coated with the photographic film, photographic material. Then in 1990, the celluloid based films were used, and cellulose based films were used. But what was the problem? That it caught fire. Once the Kodak was the largest company, and it used to have a lot of reels of the cellulose films. And once it caught fire because it is highly inflammable, so then they switched over to the plastic. Then later, there the moisture-proof dental packets have started coming. I'm talking about the dental films, and the plastic films have started coming. First, in beginning, when Rongen or Dr. Edmund Kells or Wathoff or so many doctors, when they started making radiographs, they used to take small glass films of the size of the present day X-ray film, and tie it into the rubber dam all around it so that it is light proof, and then they used to expose to X-rays and work with it. But the problem with it was that it was rigid. The patient had a chances of getting traumatized with the glass, and then it was not always light proof. You know that the X-rays are electromagnetic waves and lights are also electromagnetic waves. If a X-ray film is sensitive to X-rays, it is equally sensitive to light. So on exposure of the light, the film gets destroyed, or the image forms get distorted, overwritten by the other images or by the light. So the being it for it being light proof is very necessary. Anyway, I'll come to that later. Then the Kodak regular films started coming. In 1924, the Kodak radiatized film started coming. 1940, Kodak ultra speed or D speed started coming. Then there is something called a zero radiography, means where the wet films are not used, that dry processing is done. That is called a zero radiography, like something like a Xerox. Okay. Then in 1981, the Kodak Ekta speed film came. Okay. Then in 1989, CCDs or the normal, what you call that, charge coupled device, or what you call as RVG or digital radiography started coming in 1989. And 1994, Kodak Ekta Plus films has come. After this, recently F speed films have come, or the even faster films have come. This is a brief history of the image receptors, how they have developed. We'll come to the commonly used image receptors and the medical imaging. The most commonly used are X-ray films. The second are fluorescent screens. When the X-rays were in beginning, there is something called as fluoroscopy. That means in fluoroscopy, you know what is fluorescence? Fluorescence means when light falls on something, that material glows or gives light. You will be seeing all these people working on highways, police, or the person working on various types which work in the night shifts or the airports. They wear jackets with the orange or green strips. Those strips are called as fluorescent strips. Fluorescent strips. Many of you wear fluorescent clothes, which show glow in the light. So what they used to do, that they used to make the patient stay in one particular position, and one screen used to be there which used to be fluorescent screen, and on that patient the X-ray was to be projected, and the doctor is seeing somewhere hiding behind a screen or a glass screen or lead glass screen, and he'll be observing that fluorescence. So it was kind of live radiography. live image used to play. If you have to see the hand from 4 directions, they will turn the whole hand and show. That used to be the fluorescent screens came. Then selenium plates and CCDs came. We'll discuss about selenium plates, CCDs when we talk about the advanced imaging techniques. Right now we are going to concentrate only X-ray films. Now before going to X-ray films, let's have a basic idea how are X-rays formed, or how are X-ray images formed. I have already discussed earlier that X-rays have a property when we are discussing radiation physics of a selective absorption or selective penetrations. Means through certain objects X-rays can pass, and through certain objects X-ray cannot pass. It is same like how the light does. Light also can pass through certain objects, cannot pass through certain objects. That's why the cast shadow of something is cast. If we keep the in the beam of a light source, say your projector or a torch, if any opaque object is kept through which the light does not pass, the shadow of that object is cast on any screen which is behind it. If there is no screen, the shadow will not be cast. So we keep a screen, on that you focus a torch or a light, and you keep some opaque object in it, the shadow will be cast. Same way, uh, yes. So suppose this is a light beam. Okay, I'll take white color. Okay, this is a light beam, and here one screen is kept, and we keep a object over here. Anything which is object, suppose a pen or a glass block is kept, then everything around it will be illuminated. Everything surrounding it will get illuminated, while this area will remain black. The shadow of this thing will be cast. Okay, if this object, suppose in this other case, I'll take another example. Okay, if this object is transparent or partly transparent or partly radio opaque, say made up of glass and wood. Okay, so in between there are strips of wood, between strips of wood, and then there is a glass here. So the light sources will pass through it, they'll pass through the glass, but the light source will not pass through the opaque wood. Again, it will pass through the glass, it will not pass through the opaque wood, it will pass through the glass. Now the shadow cast over here will be that a rectangular shadow. You will see this area will be illuminated and this area will remain dark, right? The similar shadow will be cast over here. This is how the light forms a shadow. Same ways X-rays also form a shadow. The X-rays can pass through certain objects and cannot pass through certain objects. The objects through X-rays can pass are called as radiolucent, and the objects through X-rays cannot pass are called as radio opaque, and a shadow of this is formed. So if we have a the X-ray film over here, and if we have a object like a, say, we have a tooth over here. Sorry, very bad drawing, horrible drawing. I'll change it. Okay. So if we form a say tooth is formed, okay, a tooth is kept, then and the X-ray is given from here. So this area, these areas will get illuminated by the X-ray on this film. On this film, this is the X-ray film. These areas will get illuminated by the X-rays, while this area will not get illuminated by the X-ray. Now, when we chemically process this film, when we take this film and chemically process it, this area will remain white and this area will become black. How that does happen, that I will teach when we talk about the latent image and the processing of images. Basically, the areas on the X-ray film which are exposed by X-ray, they become black or they block the passage of light, and the areas through which the X-rays are not hit, they remain white. So that's why we see a white and black and white image on the radiograph with different shades of gray. Okay. Fine. Now the X-ray films are of two types. Where is laser pointer? Laser pointer. I can't find laser pointer. I'm sorry. Okay, X-ray films are two types: direct exposure films and indirect exposure films. Direct exposure films are those films which are directly exposed to X-rays. They are called as non-screen films and they are used in intraoral radiography. And indirect exposure films are those films which are not directly exposed to X-rays. They are exposed to the light through intensifying screen. Well, I'll discuss it when we discuss about intensifying screen. Or they are called as indirect exposure films, or they are also called as screen films. They are used for the extraoral radiography. So let's see the composition of X-ray film. That means X-ray films should ideally have something which is sensitive to X-rays. It should have some material on it which is sensitive to X-rays, and when that material, when it is exposed to X-ray, its chemical composition should change, and when we process through chemically we process, it should change completely. Or when we talk about the digital radiography, the sensor what we have should have something which is sensitive to X-ray, and the structure changes in such a way that it emits signals which get transferred into the computer data and show us that image. Basically, the X-ray film, all of you have touched X-ray film. They are very thin, say around 0.2 millimeter in thickness. Most of the films earlier they used to be made up of glass, then to the cellulose or celluloid material. Now they are made up of plastic. Okay, they are made up of plastic or polyethylene tetraphthalate we call. On that plastic base, that is called as base, means that is used as the base on which the X-ray used. Adhesive layer is applied. Okay, adhesive layer is applied. Adhesive means something like Fevicol to stick it. Based on that, one emulsion is applied. Okay, one emulsion is applied on the both the side. That means that a polythene, sorry, I'll take yellow color. I think yellow is visible. Yes, a polythene base is taken. This is called as polythene tetraphthalate base. Okay, a polythene base is taken. Okay, on this base, a adhesive layer is applied. A layer like Fevicol is applied. Okay, to which something can stick. And those sensitive material which are sensitive to X-rays, they are fixed to this adhesive material. That sensitive material are called as are silver halide crystals, or halides are silver and compounds of silver and halogen. Silver halide crystals most commonly used are the silver bromide and silver iodide. Now the silver halide itself will not stay, so it is mixed in with some material and then it is applied. Something like many times we have to put something, some coating on a table or a cake or a wall. Then you make a paste or something of some other material. In that paste, suppose you have taken some small marbles or chips which you have to fix on the wall on your table. So you take a coating of paint, in that you apply, or a coat of Fevicol, or say a coat of cement you apply, and that cement you embed those particles. So same way we take something like that embedding particle. That embedding particle is called as emulsion. When emulsion is applied here, in that emulsion all these silver halide crystals are embedded in this emulsion. This is called as, so these are called as silver halide crystals, emulsion. So and above that a protective super coat is applied, a protective layer is applied, which is called as the protective super coat. So the X-ray film will have a base, a adhesive, emulsion, and a super coat. Let's see the structures. The base is made up of polyethylene tetraphthalate or polyester. It is 0.2 millimeter in thickness. It is translucent, chemically inert, and it supports emulsion. Its basic function is to give support. It is translucent, means through which the light can pass, and it is chemically inert. It does not itself react chemically with anything. For the pleasantness of eye, or the eyes do not get tired, a slight blue tinge is applied to it. What is applied? A slight blue tinge is applied. That is what is called as the base. This is the base layer in this film. This is the base. Okay. Then on base adhesive is applied, and that adhesive, this emulsion is applied. So the next layer is emulsion. Emulsion is coated on both sides of the base. It is made up of gelatin matrix in which silver halide, mainly silver bromide and silver halide crystals are suspended. Okay. Emulsion is better of gelatin. Gelatin, all of you have seen it. It is present in the capsules which you take, the medicine capsules. Okay, gelatin is a sticky substance. Why gelatin is used? Because gelatin has a property to swell and absorb water. Gelatin absorbs water. So when we apply silver halide crystals inside the gelatin, when gelatin is dry, it is thick. Okay, it is hard. When we dip it in the water, it absorbs water. So the during chemical processing, the developer and fixer compounds are inserted inside the water. So when we develop the film, the water enters inside the gelatin matrix. Gelatin swells up with that water. Along with that water, the developer and fixer also enters inside it, and it interacts with those silver halide crystals. That is why gelatin crystals are used. Okay, and inside gelatin, the silver halide crystals are there. So basically, we have base and emulsion. Base is polythene tetraphthalate. Emulsion has a gelatin in matrix, and inside gelatin matrix there are silver halide crystals, silver bromide, and silver iodide. And on that top, a protective layer or a super coat layer, a thin layer of polyester or gelatin covers both surfaces of the film to protect the emulsion from scratching. Okay, this is clear. I feel this is very simple and easy. You must remember this. The composition of X-ray film is a frequently asked, very frequently asked question in the theory exam as a short note, or in the viva. Very frequently asked in the film. They will ask you the size of the film, the speed of the film, the composition of the film, what are the contents of the X-ray film packet, what material is there inside the gelatin base, one side or on the both the sides. Two sides are made because you get a better quality image. Fine. So please know this chapter. This is a very important chapter from the exam point of view. Now, there are different dimensions of intraoral X-ray film. I told you that what I talked about, that the films are of two types: intraoral films and the extraoral films. Intraoral films are the direct exposure films, and when we make the radiographs, like what I told you, the intraoral radiography is made with the film kept inside the mouth, and extraoral radiography, the film is kept outside the mouth. So in intraoral radiography, the films are kept inside mouth, so there has to be small in size, they have to be flexible, they should not be hurting the patient, they should not be impinging, it should be easy to work and operate, and it should be impervious to the water, means the film should be kept inside some packet which is waterproof. For small children, the film has to be of a smaller size. They are called as zero size films or the pedo film. They are 22 to 35 millimeter in size. Then there is number one film, it is in there 24 into 40 mm size. It is hardly used. Then the next bigger size is for the adult, as a size 2 films, which you commonly see in most of the dental colleges, dental operatories, clinic, commonly used. It is 32 into 41 millimeters in size. Then for biting projections also we use size 2 films, and sometimes we use size 3 films. It is 27 to 54 millimeter of size. And third type of intraoral radiography is occlusal projections. I told you that the occlusal projection, the entire occlusal with the entire maxilla or mandible has to be covered, because they keep the film in the occlusal plane. So they are larger in size, 57 into 76 millimeter in size. The size of the films also are very commonly frequently asked question, either in viva or MCQs, filling the blanks, or 2 marks questions. Please remember them. It's given there in white and para also. Okay, now see, this is occlusal film. Okay, this is a size 2 film, adult film, and this is a size 0 film. As small as you can see the change in the size, right? Uh, Now let's see what are the contents of the X-ray film packet. I had to show you something I missed on that. If you had seen the previous image, on this side it was written here, the opposite side was the tube. Okay, X-ray film packet. I told you for intraoral film, the X-ray film packet should be impervious to water. So what all it contains? It contains a, yes, it contains a flap. It is a plastic packet which is blue, light blue in color, on which a white flap is there. It is like an envelope. Okay, it is written, a dot is marked here if you see carefully. It is written opposite side towards tube, means this side, colored side, should not be facing the tooth or to the X-ray tube. It should be, the opposite side should be facing the X-ray tube. The opposite side is like this, white in color, and this dot comes here as an engraving or a imposition mark can be seen. A dot can be filled, a slight thickness or some rough area can be filled there. This is how it appears, like this. You can see a embossed mark is there, this mark. So this white side should be facing towards the tube, means when you try to expose the film, the object to which you want to radiograph, in our case we want to radiograph the teeth, so the teeth has to come between the film and the X-ray tube. X-ray tube is obviously outside mouth, which is facing the tooth, and the X-ray film has to be behind the tooth, lingual or palatal to the tooth, and this white surface should be towards the X-ray tube. Means this white surface should be touching the tooth, or this white surface should be towards the tooth. Okay. Now let's see what are the contents of the X-ray film packet. Like I told you, X-ray film has a plastic cover. If you open this, it will have a plastic cover. Inside plastic cover, there will be a black paper, a lead foil, and the film will be present. So when we open this packet, a packet something like this will come. This is the colored side of the packet. Towards the colored side of the packet, a aluminum foil is there. You can see that, sorry, lead foil is there. Lead foil has some engravings on it like this. When you remove the lead foil, you can see a black and paper is there. Black envelope like paper is there. Inside this black paper, this white film is there. When you come to department, I'll open a film and show it to you. Okay, let's see what is the function of each. What is the function of plastic cover? It protects the film from moisture and light. It is tightly sealed. It is sealed packed, totally sealed. Water cannot enter inside it. Okay. What is the function of lead foil? Lead foil is present on the color side, also protects the tissues on the other side of the film from radiation. It prevents backscatter radiation from reaching the film and gives sufficient stiffness to the film packet. What happens that when the all of you know that the lead is a radio protector. It is a radio opaque object. It does not allow the X-rays to pass through it. So if I want to make a X-ray of the, say, right side of mandibular teeth, I do not want the tongue and the left side of mandibular teeth to get exposed. So we have to keep something in between which will protect the tongue. So when we expose the radiograph with the X-rays, behind the film a lead foil is kept. That lead foil helps the X-rays do not go to the tongue or the other side of film. Sometimes even if they go, like I have told you in the interaction of matter with X-rays, the secondary X-rays are generated. Those X-rays can come back and hit the film and the image will get disturbed. To prevent that, a lead foil is kept in between. These are the two functions. Since it is metallic, it provides some kind of stiffness to the film packet. Okay, and then there is a film inside it which covers the image pattern or the latent image, or this is the main thing which is kept, remaining all are accessories, and the black paper is kept. The black paper helps in protecting the film from exposure to the light. Okay, now we'll come to indirect exposure films, which are also called as screen films. So till now everything is clear. Direct exposure films, the film's composition film contains a base and a emulsion. On the base, the base is made up of polyethylene tetraphthalate or polyester, which is 0.2 millimeter in thickness, which is chemically inert. It is translucent and has a slight bluish tinge to it. On that base, adhesive is applied. On that adhesive, an emulsion is applied. Emulsion contains the silver halide crystals in a gelatin matrix. Gelatin is used because gelatin absorbs water and swells up, and it allows direct developer and fixer to enter inside it and interact with the silver halide crystals. Silver halide crystals either are silver iodide or silver bromide. Based on the shape and size of the crystal, the films are categorized in different types, or you saw that the film was different types. The different types of the films are called as different speeds of the film. I'll talk about the speed of the film, though I'll talk about it again in the ideal radiography. Still, I'll let you know. The speed of the film is defined as, or is termed as, the it is inversely proportional to the amount of exposure required to obtain a good quality radiograph. That means higher the amount of exposure required to get a good quality radiograph, lower is the speed of the film. So a slow speed film means it requires more radio X-rays to get exposed. If the moment it requires more X-rays, that means it is more harmful to the patient. So our aim is to use high speed films. The speed of the film is denoted in alphabets, that is A, B, C, D, E, E plus and F. F speed film is the fastest film available till now. All these films are color coded from the Kodak company. When you see, I showed you the X-ray packets, that one side is white, other side is colored. It has a colored pack and a flap, white flap. That color for the D speed film is green. For E and E plus speed film, it is light blue or mauve color, and for F speed film, it is lavender color or purple color, you can say. Okay, the That's why the speed of the film is important. When you see the back packet of the film, it will be written opposite side towards the tube. One packet film contains one film E speed or E plus speed or F speed, it will be written. Most of the films used nowadays either E speed films, E plus speed films or F speed films. These speed films are no more used because they are harmful to the patient. Then based on the size of the radio X-ray, the X-ray films are classified into 0, 1, 2 and 3 and 4 speed film. The 0 film is used for pedodontia. The 2 A speed film is for the anterior teeth, which is rarely used. Most of the time people use number 2 film. The size 2 film is commonly used for the adult posterior and biting radiograph. Sometimes for biting radiograph, size 3 films is used, or size 4 or the occlusal films are used for the occlusal radiographs. Okay, the film is kept inside a film packet. Most of the time, the film packet will have only one X-ray film. The film packet contains a outer plastic cover, which one side is totally white, other side is colored and is a flap-like envelope. It is water and moisture proof, and the light proof. The light and the moisture cannot go inside it. The side towards which the colored side is there, a lead foil is kept. The lead foil is kept so that it protects the tissues behind the X-ray film from getting exposed to radiation. First thing. Second, it helps the radiation, the back scattered radiation or secondary radiation generated from the teeth or the tongue from other side to come in and re-exposing the film and destroying the image or disturbing the image rather. Then it provides certain stiffness to the film. You will see that all these lead foils you must have seen in the picture contain some patterns, embedded patterns. Sometimes what happens that by mistake, instead of the white side, we can keep the colored side towards it. So the image will become light. And to know that we have put it color side, those patterns will form a cast a shadow on that X-ray film, and the resultant X-ray will be of light color and it will have that shadow of the pattern which was seen on the lead foil. That is called as a tire track appearance on the X-ray film. It is called as a tire track appearance on the X-ray film. So these are about the, and behind the lead screen, sorry, lead foil, there is a black paper envelope, thick chart paper like paper will be there, which is black in color, again like an envelope which is surrounding the film. So by chance somehow the film gets torn or leakage occurs, then still the moisture cannot go and disturb the film. It will be absorbed by that black paper. If some light, even if some light goes to some leak, the black paper will prevent the X-ray film from getting scratched. Okay, so this was about the and sometimes the film will have two packets. Some packets will have two films. Why will they have two films? So that when we expose the radiographs, both radiographs get exposed. One film the doctor will keep, other film the patient will keep. Now we'll come to something called as indirect exposure films, also called as screen films. They are used in external radiography along with intensifying screens. Okay, these films are similar in composition to the non-screen films or the direct exposure film, exception that certain impurities are added to make the emulsion more sensitive to light. Okay, why light? We'll come to it. Okay, the latent image is formed by the light and emitted from the intensifying screen. Now, why that? I'll come to it later. So, this was regarding the direct and indirect exposure films. Direct exposure films are exposed directly to X-rays. Indirect exposure films are exposed to the light. Light is emitted by intensifying screen. Now we are going to cover intensifying screens or accessories. Let's see what are intensifying. Okay, I'll come to it. All of you know that when you make the radiograph, say a radiograph of a tooth, I make, it takes say around 0.4 seconds to expose. Okay? But the tooth or the mandible is relatively lesser thickness. If I want to make a extraoral radiograph of say entire skull, then the exposure required will be much more higher than the zero point 0.4 second that is required for only one mandible. If you take the X-rays of the scale, right, and longer duration of exposure will be required. Overall, it is more harmful to the patient. So we have to devise something which will help in reducing this exposure. To help reducing this exposure, something called as intensifying screens are used. Basically, what is done that a packet-like device is kept. I'll show you the picture outside. A book-like device which is called as the cassette. Okay, a cassette-like thing is kept. The cassette on both the sides, this side will also have intensifying screen and it will have intensifying screen on this side also. In between these we'll keep the X-ray film. Okay, we'll keep the X-ray film and we'll close this packet. Okay, so it will become like a packed thing inside which there is a X-ray film is kept, and on both the side the X-ray film there is a intensifying screen. This is tightly packed and it is exposed to the X-ray radiation. Now what happens? Why is the name intensifying? Intensifying means to intensify something. Two guys are fighting, one fellow comes and says, "Kare, tere baad to ye bhi bol raha tha." Then what happens? The intensity of fight increases. Something which increases the intensity of anything is called as intensifying. That means this screen or this device is also going to intensify something. Our aim is to reduce exposure. For reducing exposure, we need more number of X-rays. So we need to intensify the X-rays. We need to intensifying the X-rays. So what does the intensifying screen does? It has two purposes. First purpose, it converts the one X-ray photon to light photon. It converts X-ray photons to light photon, and it increases the number of light photons increase. So when one X-ray photon reaches the intensifying screen, 400 to 4000 light photons are generated. So effectively we are reducing the exposure required by 400, and the film kept is sensitive to X-rays. So intensifying screen is kept outside the patient's skull and the radiation exposure is missed. Some amount of radiation reaches the intensifying screen. There it gets converted to light photon and a 400 light photons. So one X-ray photon gets converted to 400 light photon. Now 400 light photons will go and hit the X-ray film. So it will get exposed 400 times of what X-ray exposure it got. So we get a good radiograph without increasing the X-ray, the amount of X-ray required. That is the purpose of intensifying screens. Let's see the function of the composition of intensifying screen. Intensifying screen, mind it, is a very commonly asked question. We'll show you in the Viva table also. Intensifying screen asks you what it is, what is its function, why it is used, where it is used. It is very commonly used inside the theory exams also. This chapter commonly, very commonly, frequently one question will be there from this chapter. So like everything, it will have a base. Some base has to be there to cover it. On that base an adhesive is kept and a phosphor layer is applied. The phosphor layer means a material which converts light to X-ray photon to the light is called as phosphorescence. You know the properties phosphorescence and fluorescence, just now I was talking about it. So phosphor layer converts the X-ray photons to light photon, and behind it one reflector thing is kept. So if the X-ray falls on this like this here, this X-ray will get converted to multiple light photons. Okay, this X-ray photon will get converted to multiple light photon. One X-ray photon suppose falls from here. Okay, this X-ray will get converted to multiple light photons. You know? It will get multiple light photons are formed. So this is the function of intensifying screen. Some will come here also. Okay, our X-ray film is kept here. So we don't want this light to go this side. So what we kept a object like mirror, which is called a reflecting layer. This again it reflects it back and hits towards the X-ray film. So we have one intensifying screen, another intensifying screen. In between we have the film. So this we are seeing the lower part. Again this gets reflected and the film gets exposed. So this is the phosphor layer. Phosphor layer is usually made up of calcium tungstate and some rare earth elements. So we have base, we have a reflecting layer, we have a phosphor layer, and as usual a protective layer. The base is made up of they leave it. Huh. The base is made up of polyester, about 0.2 millimeter thickness to 5 millimeter in thickness. It provides mechanical support to the screen. Then we have a reflecting layer, which is made up of titanium dioxide, which is 0.025 millimeter thickness. It reflects the light from the phosphor layer back to the film. Then we have a phosphor layer made up of phosphor crystals suspended in the plastic. Phosphor materials used are calcium tungstate or rare earth elements like terbium activated gadolinium oxysulfide or thulium activated lanthanum oxybromide. Please write down, this is very frequently asked question. It emits light when exposed to X radiation. Okay, and the exposure of X-ray photon results in emission of several light photons and helps in reducing the radiation dose in extraoral radiography. So the intensifying screen's function is to reduce the exposure dose required. How does it does? It does by converting light X-ray photon into one light photon, X-ray photon into light photon, and converting one X-ray photon into 400 to 4000 light photon, multiple light photons. So increases the intensity of the X-rays by converting into multiple light photons. That is why it is called as the intensifying screen. Okay. And the next is protective layer, which is made up of polyester, zero point 0.8 microns thickness. It protects the phosphor layer and provides a surface that may be cleaned. It helps it protect it from the scratches. Okay. So this is the intensifying screen. Let's see the function. From here the film is kept. Okay, here the patient was there. Okay, suppose this was the patient and the X-ray came here and hit it. What happens to this X-ray? This gets converted to multiple light photons. I already showed you this picture. Okay, and here the film is kept. That film gets exposed and these lights again they get reflected back and go and hit the film. The same thing is happening on the other side also. Both the side the film gets exposed. Okay, okay. So but there is one problem in intensifying screens. What is the problem? One X-ray photon which was supposed to come and hit the X-ray film over here, it has exposed it in such a large area because of X-ray. So there is a magnification of image and there is a unsharpness of image. This is the price we are paying for reducing the radiation exposure. Mind you, nothing is free in this world. So for reducing the exposure, we are paying by losing sharpness and magnification. That's why external radiographs are always have a poorer resolution and lesser sharpness than the intraoral radiographs, because in intraoral radiography there was no intensifying screen. That is a major difference between direct and indirect exposure films. Therefore, for caries detection, intraoral film should be used, extraoral film should not be used, because the extraoral film will, the resolution and sharpness will be poor. Why it is poor? Now you can see. Okay, the X-ray film therefore needs to be kept very close to the intensifying screen. In fact, it is sandwiched between a pair of intensifying screen inside a metallic cassette. Now the other thing is film holders. How much time? It's already 37 minutes. Fine, it is very less. Film holders are the devices which are held in the patient's mouth and maintain its position during exposure. You know that the films, X-ray film, we cannot leave it inside the mouth, it will fall. Either it has to be held with the finger or with some device. That device is called as the film holder. The device film holder is a device which helps in stabilizing the film inside the patient's mouth. These are different types of film holders. This film holder is called as snap array film holder. This is normal artery forceps. These two are used in the bisecting technique, and this is called as the Rin XCP holder. These are used in the paralleling technique. I have already discussed all these when I have talked about the bisecting and paralleling angle radiography. Okay, this is how it looks. It is called the extension cone paralleling instrument or Rin XCP instruments. Okay. This is how the film holder is kept inside the mouth. Patient's hand or the nothing is being touched and the X-ray exposure is being made. Okay. This is a snap array film holder. This is used in a. This is how we use it. This is how we use it for the interior, and this is how we use it for the posterior. On this portion, the patient bites, and this white side remains towards the tooth. This is used for bisecting technique. And this is a artery forceps or a needle holder. When we don't have film holders, we can use it. This is a cassette. See, this is the cassette, dark cassette. This also will have a white and a color side. This is a cassette. These two white films, what you see are, these are the intensifying screens. This is one side intensifying screen, other side intensifying screen. In between, one X-ray film is kept and it is closed by the spring. All this work is done inside dark room. It is not done in the light. It is done in the darkness so that the film doesn't get spoiled. The film comes inside the light tight packets. We go inside the dark room, switch off the light, open the packet, fill the film, take it out, open the cassette, put it inside, close it, and then switch on the light. Before switching the light, pack the other packet and keep it inside your cupboard. Okay. So what are cassettes? Cassettes carry a non-screen film between a non-screen film or indirect exposure film between a pair of intensifying screens. They protect, should be called screen films, not in all, this is misprint here. They protect the film from light and moisture and also maintain a tight contact between the film and the intensifying screen. This is cassette. Write it down, please. Okay. These are the stands. Okay, can you see this stand on which the films are held and the exposures are made? Okay, all of you have seen these stands everywhere. They are used in X-ray radiography for holding and maintaining the cassettes in correct position with respect to the patient. This is my PG department where I did my PG, College of Dental Sciences, Davangere. All these machines are still there. This is a very old machine, 1975 machine. Still it is working after so many years and excellently working. Okay. Then there is something comes as called as grid. Okay. So what is grid? If you are feeling bored, you can pause the video, take a break. I cannot take a break, so I'll be continuing it. No, sometimes what happens, I have already told you that when X-rays interact with the matter, they interact with three ways: either Compton scattering, coherent scattering, or thermoelectric emission or photoelectric absorption emission. That means X-rays, when they interact with the human being or for that any matter, they generate secondary photons or secondary X-rays. Now, when we are making radiograph, the some portions in the our body or the head are blocking the X-rays, and some portions are not blocking the X-rays. The portions which are blocking the X-rays are casting a shadow on the X-ray film, and one image is made. That is our aim. Our aim is to get a good quality image. Now, when so suppose this is a person's head, okay, and this is a X-ray film. We came, the X-ray is casting a shadow, good shadow. Suppose there is a bone here, so this gets stops and this gets passed, this gets stops and this gets passed, and the shadow will be cast over here and we'll see a image. Now what if this body starts forming X-rays? So here this body formed X-rays, this area was supposed to be shadowless, right? Here used to be the no exposure of X-rays, but from the secondary X-rays which are generated from this head, exposed it and one image was formed over here. This will hamper the quality of our image. To remove this deficiency, this problem, there's something is used as called as grid. What are they used? They are called as grid. Why it is not getting deleted? Okay. They are called as grids. So what is the definition of grid? A grid is composed of alternate strips of a radio opaque material and strips of radiolucent material. Purpose of the grid is to prevent the secondary radiation coming from tissues from reaching the film and thus forming the image quality. Okay, improving the image quality. Write down what is grid. Grid is very commonly asked in the exam. This chapter, everything is asked in the exam. Well, now see the animation. Okay, this casted a secondary radiation when image is formed. So this is now here what we keep something called as grid. Below the film we keep some parallel strips of lead and the glass. Okay, so this lead strips will block these secondary generation radiations which were generated are blocked over here. Okay, only the primary radiation which is parallel will pass and the secondary radiation which are generated are blocked. So they are not exposing the film and our image is not getting destroyed. This is what is the function of the grid. You draw this exam in the grid, write this definition. Okay. The types of grid: stationary and mobile grid. Mobile grid is also called as Bucky grid or Potter-Bucky grid. Then the parallel grid and focus grid. There are different types of grids. The another question which comes from grid is the grid ratio. Grid ratio is the ratio of grid thickness of the width of radiolucent spaces. Higher the grid ratio, better is the image quality. Generally, a grid ratio of 8 to 10 is satisfactory. Usually, it is asked what should be the grid ratio as a MCQ. So, grid ratio is to between the thickness of 8 is to the 10. Okay. A large amount of secondary radiation is produced by the maxillofacial structures. Grids are useful in extral radiography. In intral radiography, grids can neither be used nor there is a need to use them. Okay. I think with this we finish off this chapter. Thank you so much. So we have done direct exposure films. In direct exposure film, the composition of film, the base emulsion. Base is made up of polyethylene, emulsion is made of gelatin and silver halide crystals. On that there is a protective coating. The film packet contains of a plastic cover. Inside that there is a black paper, a lead foil, and the film. The and the film will have two packet of two side, colored side and the white side. White side is towards the tube, color side is color coded. D for the for D speed film green, for E speed film blue, and the for the F speed film it is purple or lavender color. The there are different sizes 0, 1, 2, 3, and for the occlusive film the sizes are more. Then we have intensifying screens or the indirect exposure film which get exposed to light. They are used in the external radiography help of the intensifying screens. Intensifying screen converts one X-ray photon into multiple light photons, and the intensifying screens are made up of a base, a reflective layer, and a phosphor material. The commonly used phosphor material is calcium, tungstate, and the rare earth elements. The intensifying screen, yes, emits two types of light, sometimes blue light, sometimes green light. So your film has to be either blue sensitive or green sensitive. For blue intensifying screen, we have to keep the blue sensitive film. For green intensifying screen, we have to keep the green sensitive film. Then the next device is grids. Grids are basically, they help removing unsharpness of the image by removing secondary radiation. See, the function of intensifying screen is to reduce the radiation exposure by converting X-ray photon into multiple light photons. The disadvantage of intensifying screen is that there is a unsharpness and poor resolution of the image, but the advantage is that the radiation exposure required is reduced, while the grids and intensifying screen is placed between the film and the patient, and the function of grids is to increase the sharpness of the obtained image. How does it do? It does it by removing the or preventing the secondary radiation generated inside the body from exposing the film. Okay.